Feminism in art is vast in its existence. It touches all corners and time periods of feminism in society. This essay will explore what vagina art is and the artists associated with it, argue how vagina art is now detrimental to the new wave of feminism, and finally, how female feminist artists have been erased and how we as a society continue to do so. Mostly this essay aims to shed light on what could be considered more important and relevant in feminist art today. Education is always a key response to systematic inequality. Vagina art was popularized by Georgia O'Keeffe in the early 20th century. In the beginning, it was used as a way to express the oppression of the female body and to fight societal standards placed on it. Feminism is still necessary, and with the societal changes occurring, there are new pressing issues like genital mutilation and abortion rights that are in existence. Post-feminism was signaling the new and necessary ways feminism is changing. Vagina art comes from an earlier period of feminism and nowadays represents an issue that isn't non-existent but no longer is a priority. Casey Jenkins is a great example of an artist whose work, Vaginal Knitting, shows their racial privilege as opposed to an artist like Carolee Schneemann, Integrity, whose work represents an issue relevant in her time. Casey's work highlights her privilege as her work shows her being vulnerable, arguably so, in an open setting. She's only able to do so as a white woman in a white country and stay safe. Sadly, this is what vagina art represents, white feminism. One of the biggest changes in post-feminism is the inclusion of women of colour, and currently with the new wave of feminism, the inclusion of non-binary people. A lot of feminist art in the beginning was exclusional, so now with the internet providing information and connection to those who are different, movements have evolved with understanding and education, bringing light to how limited vagina art really is today, and takes the movement back decades. You don't need a vagina to be a woman, nor to experience the fear of being one. Women have been erased from art history for a long time. After many decades of feminist activism, the status quo remains the same, with the majority of successful artists male and the majority of art students female. Feminism should be fighting for the equality of all women and people, and vagina art no longer accomplishes that. The androcentric conditions of art history knowledge, it was not only that women's art was ignored, but that its very existence was unimaginable. The beauty of art isn't the sameness, it's the endless difference. Only two major state museums in Australia have staged feminist surveys or deliberate all-women exhibitions. As discussed, art created by women is an effort to seek as opposed to art created by men. Is this a matter of there being less female artists, or are the female artists being ignored and their art erased? Artemisia Gilteschi is one of the most interesting feminist artists of the 19th century, that there is extensive information on. Her piece Susanna and the Elders represents the biblical story of two older men showing a young woman unwanted attention. This regretfully mirrors Artemisia's life and relationship with her art teacher who raped her. Her work was found to have been painted over to reflect a scene less violent and honest. Similar forms of censorship occur today in female artists, in particular artists creating images pertaining to sex work or the naked female form. On online forums such as Instagram and Tumblr, art of this nature is censored in the same way the female nippet is censored off many websites. To conclude, feminism in art is constantly changing and evolving. This essay aimed to express what vagina art is and the artists who mothered it, how now it's detrimental to feminism in art, and finally, how female artists have been erased from history and how we still don't live in a society which builds women up. Hopefully, with the new wave of feminism, art can grow with positive change, bring light and education to sisters who need and deserve it, and move away from vaginas and start looking at the women.